It bends and tents and flips and folds, but should anyone be spending $650 on a Chromebook? The Acer Spin 713, is it worth it? The Acer Spin 713 is widely regarded as one of the nicer options someone can shop when they're looking at an upscale Chromebook convertible. Some of those words might not fit together for all of the folks in our audience. Chrome OS has a certain reputation of a streamlined web-based computer. To oversimplify, you're buying a browser in a fancy shell. But as Chrome OS sales have climbed, we've also seen the platform grow up a little. It's become a more fully featured laptop competitor. So we decided to check out one of the best. It's obviously a little spendy for a Chromebook, but is it worth it? And I just want to throw this question out right now at the top of this video. Are you using a Chromebook? Our family web device is a Pixelbook Go, but both my wife and I have Windows work machines. And question part 2, have you seen any Chromebooks out in the wild? Can you even tell the difference between a Chromebook and a Windows laptop? I'm sure for all the MacBook owners, the answer is probably no. Discuss below. Laptops are really hot right now and competition is fierce. We're really interested in value, but we also want to know, what can it do? The Spin 713 is a power user Chromebook, and it competes a bit more directly against Windows portables at similar price points. The machine we're test driving has a 13.5-inch IPS LCD touchscreen, a slightly squarer aspect ratio, which is proven popular for web browsing and editing documents. The screen is on full wraparound hinges, so you can use it in a traditional laptop form, flip it into a tent mode, or carry it like a tablet. The bezels are manageably thin since you can hold it like a tablet. Just a little extra border helps you hold onto it. You can grip it without interacting with things on the screen. Now, this top bezel has a little webcam. Like a lot of webcams, it might be okay for some Zoom calls, but it's a somewhat mediocre 720p camera. For what we're doing here to test the webcam, I think this is looking pretty good, but we're also in the Slickdeals studio with some pretty nice lighting, so your mileage may vary. But inside this chassis, we've got a Core i5 Evo with integrated graphics, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and a 256 gigabyte solid state drive. Immediately, when we talk about sprucing up a Chromebook, these kinds of internals are often what gets improved. Most people have the belief that all Chromebooks have little to no storage space. Cheaper Chromebooks will use cheaper internals, slower RAM, slower processors, and slower storage. If you'd like that kind of video, we can totally break down the technical differences between eMMC, UFS, and NVMe drives. Just let us know. Comments down below. But for the Spin 713, you're getting a pretty solid amount of internal storage. The TLDR, if your needs are more modest and web browsy, you might not notice much performance difference. But even when covering the basics, more horsepower and faster internals can deliver smoother interactions. It might not seem faster on one browser tab, but we know how Chrome loves eating all your RAM. So if you constantly have a bunch of tabs up, these improved laptop guts help polish up the user experience. But I'm getting ahead of myself here because we gotta talk about these ports. Now first, there are still times you might need to plug in one of those rectangular USB cables, and a memory card slot is always appreciated for moving files around between gadgets like cameras and PCs. And in the case of this computer, since you have 256 gigs of storage, you actually have a place to put some of those files. And the other side of the Spin 713 has some really good stuff though. A headphone jack, because it's silly to get rid of a great standard audio connector on consumer electronics. A full-size HDMI port and count 'em, two Thunderbolt 4 ports. That means better support for external storage devices, displays, and they're fully compatible with USB accessories. You can really move some data around. Now, I'm a big fan of this keyboard, big chunky keys. There's minimal case flex when you're typing. It's not as quiet as my Pixelbook Go, but very good key travel with good back and edge lighting. The trackpad is nice and broad with a smooth, silky feel, perfect for Chrome gestures. This is all good times. And then performance is snappy. Firing up a Chrome window or a Chrome OS program, the laptop is eager to jump into action. Opening the lid, the Spin reacts immediately. It's a hallmark of Chromebooks in general and a strength for this specific model. One last little bit of design praise. This one's personal. I like the screen edge on the hinge lift. That was kind of clumsy coming out of my mouth there. The edge of the display helps lift the bottom of the laptop off a table for just a bit better airflow. It's a nice touch as this is a computer built on an idea of performance, but that helps us switch to a handful of concerns. This machine has fans on it. Under normal web browsing, they stay fairly quiet, but there's always a slight air to them. A Pixelbook Go is basically silent compared to this, though the Spin is more powerful and runs cooler because of the fans. The speakers are good, but they're a bit thin. These front firing on that edge where they sound a bit better when they can bounce off of a table, but they don't quite fill a room like my Pixelbook. We've got the great trick of flipping into tablet mode, and this really can take the edge off of folks concerned about owning multiple gadgets. The Spin isn't the lightest though, so the ease of using something like a Galaxy Tab or an iPad, how light a good tablet can be, I don't think a flippin' convertible laptop can really match that ergonomic use. But I've been dancing around one major idea. I don't know if you could tell. This is really nice. It's feature complete, well built, and it's a powerful portable. Where does that get us with a Chromebook? Does a Chromebook need more power? We're talking about Chromebooks, and generally battery life is pretty good. Now we've got more powerful internals here, so battery life doesn't quite stack up against some of the lower power Chromebooks out there. Acer's estimating around 10 hours of web browsing under very specific conditions. Once you start throwing different apps and programs and multiple browser tabs, you crank up the screen brightness, obviously that usage time is gonna drop. Battery testing is kind of voodoo. My use is not gonna resemble your use. No matter what the estimates are, it's always going to be your mileage may vary. Charging is pretty quick, but Acer has included this really nice and helpful charging brick and cable solution in the box, which for around a 45-watt charger, it is kind of disappointing that this is the charging solution that they've included, where a lot of other solutions have gone to more reasonable power bricks. So much of this is tied to Chrome and your Google services. Adding a little extra oomph, yeah, that does make things nicer. You can do more at the same time, both in extra tabs and in multiple windows. For core Chrome use, yeah, you don't need it, but it's fun. And when you get used to it, it's kind of hard going back to lower power Chromebooks. I can't fault someone looking to shop a little extra potential. We can do more with Chrome OS now than we could even 4 years ago. We're getting better support for Android apps, running other programs more like Windows or Mac OS. There's an alpha for Steam on Chrome OS, and hopefully that means more PC-style gaming making it here natively. And there are some solid power user features which benefit from more processing power. If you dig into the settings on a Chromebook and fire up the Linux developer environment, my Pixelbook got me interested in Linux computing again, and the Spin can power some great full-fledged programs like running the full desktop version of Firefox on your Chromebook, or using photo editors like GIMP or video editing programs or a full Office suite. A Chromebook is kind of a sneaky way to double dip on streamlined, efficient browser performance and super nerdcore laptop use. But we can't get around the premium price tag. Chromebooks are judged on a different scale, where a totally reasonable Chrome experience can be found for around $300. This climbs to the higher end of the Chromebook scale. So, Acer Spin 713, is it worth it? I like carving up the audience who might be a good fit for a product. Students and people covering the basics likely aren't going to find as much value here. There's a smaller group of people who aren't looking to drive something like this to its limits, but will appreciate all the nice touches and the extra horsepower. They understand that they're spending a little more just to smooth out those interactions. And then there's another smaller group still of power users who are going to take this and slap some Linux apps on it. They'll squeeze every ounce of potential they can out of this hardware. What I have a harder time answering, a core group of consumers already comfortable with Mac or Windows laptops around $1,000. Familiarity matters, and I don't believe switching ecosystems is always as easy as some techies make it out to be. Chrome OS is really accessible. There's a good chance those people are already using the Chrome browser on their current laptops, but we might take for granted those programs, settings, and services we use regularly. The things on a laptop we take for granted. We don't even think about them when we're using them, and not everyone enjoys looking for alternatives to commonly used features. For those folks, the Spin only makes sense if that individual knows that they're gonna be game for a little experimenting and a little tinkering. Chrome OS has matured into a nicely competitive platform, going toe-to-toe with Mac OS for market share. The Acer Spin 713 is an excellent example of what a premium Chromebook can be. If a power user Chromebook is the right fit for you, I think you're gonna dig what this convertible can do. As always, thank you so much for watching, for sharing these videos, subscribing and smashing those bell icons. Stay tuned for more reviews and comparisons from the Slickdeals team. We're building up our coverage on all kinds of different products and ways to shop savvy. Just a reminder, if you shop for one of these products or any of the links below, Slickdeals will get a commission, but this is not a sponsored review. For Slickdeals, I'm Juan Bagnell, aka Some Gadget Guy, and I will catch you all on the next review.